Welcome to No Notes.
I'm Colby.
And I'm Alex.
And welcome back to this week's episode.
So I'm really glad that you're back in the U.S.
I know, we are just little international superstars lately.
Yeah. So you were at Paris Fashion Week?
Yeah, Men's Fashion Week, my second time. It was really fucking cold.
So you went for the men's portion?
Yeah, so men's and women's are split. Men's happens in January and women's will be at the end of February through early March. And also right now there's women's couture week going on that follows men's fashion week.
How many years have you been going?
This was my second to Fashion Week. I've been invited a few different times. Like years ago, I was invited to a Chanel show and then a Balmain show, but the timing never really worked out. But yeah, it was cool.
So it feels like it's been going on forever, but how long does men's last?
It's a week.
It's just a week?
It's just a week. It starts I think the shows kick off on the Wednesday of the week it's held, and then they run through that Sunday.
Oh, crap. I keep seeing like a lot of...
What you're probably thinking about is that there is more than just Paris Men's Fashion Week. There's also Milan and then London as well. And they all kind of run back to back. So if you're following, a lot of influencers and stuff, they were probably hopping all over the place. I only am interested in the Paris Fashion Week.
Is Paris only featuring French designers, or
for the most part?
Okay.
There's some, like Valentino has often shown at Paris Men's Fashion Week, despite being an Italian designer. Just because historically, like bigger production, bigger crowds, it's like sort of the shows to go to.
Right. And I really love that you go to Paris Fashion Week, because every time you go there, you distribute my headshots and my modeling portfolio, and I just get so much work off of that.
Exactly. They're just piled up in the Parisian trash cans next to the discarded mattresses covered in bed
and the
bugs.
Bodies. Yeah.
For the rats.
Oh, God. So I have a coin here. Per usual, we're going to start off the week talking about our tops and bottoms. So for the new folks, we flip a coin to decide which one of us will discuss a top, aka the highlight of the week, and the other will discuss a bottom or something bad that happened this week. So what do you want, top or heads or tails?
I want to cover tails.
Okay, let's see.
For bottom.
And it's tails. Okay. So you get to discuss the bottom. I guess I'll discuss the top. Should I start off?
Yep, let's do it.
So although tomorrow is my birthday, we celebrated my birthday yesterday at my place, and I had you and a good amount of my close friends. A gaggle. Well, although it included some straight people.
It did.
So you guys all came over, and you guys we had tons of drinks, and I had a birthday cake and a birthday, or like unwrapping in front of a lot of people.
And what did you get?
I got a PS5, which I've wanted for a while now.
I know.
And you got me the Hogwarts video game.
Yep, you can finally catch up to everyone else.
I know. I'm like 2-3 years behind. When did it come out?
It was last year, right?
I think it might have been last year.
It was earlier last year.
Yeah, but yeah, I got to catch up on all the games that came out. I got Hogwarts. I got to do the Spider-Man 2. I got God of War, Ragnarok. So lots of games.
Are you much of a gamer?
Yeah, so I think I've said this before. I think we actually talked about it. My favorite gift that I've ever got was a PS2 with a Jack and Dexter.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So that opened me up to a whole new world. I'm a Kingdom Hearts gay.
Oh, I loved Kingdom Hearts.
So
that song
good.
is still stuck in my head.
Simple and clean.
Yes, simple and clean.
Love it. I still listen to it.
But I have to say the first one was clear and away the best.
Yeah. It's like one of those things where they kept on developing sequels, but they didn't really know what to do with the story, and so it just became kind of a mess.
Yeah. Kingdom Hearts was Final Fantasy for the girls and the gays.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it included a lot of the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah, plus Disney. It's the only acceptable Disney thing.
Yeah, totally.
So what is your bottom?
Well, my bottom is hard for me to talk about this week.
Please share. This is a safe space.
Trying to not get teary-eyed here, but I found out yesterday that Alex Rodriguez, my best friend, is a liar and a fraud.
Okay, but who cares? Wait, what?
I found out that despite claiming she's your biggest idol, that you do not follow Hillary Duff on Instagram.
I don't follow any celebrities.
I don't know. I feel like you've been gaslighting
Wait, how
us.
did you know that?
So it was really random. Someone mentioned something about Hillary Duff, and I went to go to her Instagram just to see what she looks like right now. And I did that because I came across Goldie Hawn's page the other day, Jump Scare, which I realized she's like in her 70s.
I thought she was dead.
Well, it looks close to that.
Oh.
But I ended up on Hillary Duff's page, and I also didn't realize she only has one L in her name, which...
Yeah. And because I remember when they were saying Hillary for 2026, they would scratch out the extra L and then have her.
Got it.
So that image is stuck in me.
But then it showed like the mutual or like the people following her, and I was like, Aradaman is not here.
Yeah. I don't follow any celebrities. What's the point?
I just think you've been gaslighting me now, and you're actually not a stan at all.
What did you think about how she looked?
She looks okay, but she
really.
So
I thought she looked real. I think she's had Botox and injections, but I think she looks.
I can't remember
normal.
what she's selling to. It's some sort of. It's giving MLM pyramid scheme kind of thing. Like, it's it's not like herbal teas, or maybe it is. She's selling something like that. That's giving very Coachella Valley girl.
It probably gives them diarrhea.
Or Mormon wife sort of thing. It's definitely like a pyramid scheme.
Oh no, Hillary.
Yeah, it seemed really.
I should reach out.
Sad.
Maybe she's not doing well.
Yeah, maybe she'd like to hear from her biggest fan that doesn't follow her.
Yeah, she would. Yeah, she would for sure listen to what I have to say. And then yeah.
Anyways, I have to tell you, I am addicted to this guy on TikTok. I think it's Chris Joe.
Can I search him up right now?
Sure. I think I sent you the videos. He's been documenting his time on the Atlantis cruise ship.
Okay. That has been blowing up everywhere. This whole Atlantis. I think I saw some content last year, but this year it's the amount of Atlantis cruise content that I've been getting on TikTok and Instagram is unmatched.
Have you seen the videos of, I think they're both content creators, and by content creators I mean OnlyFans gays, but have you seen the two sharing their boyfriends, I think, and they're sharing
one Asian, one white.
Yes. And they're sharing their tips of optimizing your time on the cruise ship.
Yeah, the thing is the tips aren't very helpful because they're like, decorate your door, and it's like, how is that a tip? How is it gonna help you?
They're showing you, like, you cover it in photos of yourself so people know who's in this cabin in case you want to engage in activities with those people. Or
you can just, but no one's gonna walk around the hallways saying like, oh, this is an empty door, I wonder what they could look like. Like, what does it matter?
What do you mean?
Like, what? Like, when has that ever been a thing? Like, where I look around the hallway to see like who's gonna? Should I just sit down, crisscross applesauce, and wait for the door to open? No, I think it's
because, like, I imagine at some points in the evening that those doors become semi-open door policies.
Oh,
and
I guess I didn't. I don't know that.
And on your way to your cabin, you might find some that are intriguing to you and that you want to explore.
But if the door is open,
yeah, but.
How can they see what's on the door?
I think you're making it far too technical.
I think cruises in general are not for me.
Have you ever been on one?
No, but they're not for me.
But you don't know unless you've tried it.
But the concept of being in the middle of the ocean on a boat,
to be fair, you do get sick on boats typically.
Even the big ones?
No, I'm saying you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have emotional sickness.
Yeah, so I mean, you could take...
Emotional sickness.
You have that as well, but you have motion sickness, yes. I mean, obviously, you can take things for that. But that aside, so I've done a couple of cruises,
incurable.
And I actually really like them.
Oh, I know. And you like steel shorts, too.
No, I don't like steel shorts.
Everything about you is... Chug
we're
central.
regressing to the mean over here.
Yeah.
No. So I love cruise ships. Actually, it's been probably almost 10 years since I've done a cruise. But what I really liked about it,
the applesauce.
No, I liked that you didn't really have to plan anything. You just showed up, you eat dinner in the same restaurant more or less at a assigned seat, and you can order whatever you want. And during the day, like there's just not a whole lot to do. Back in those days too, there wasn't great like cellular service on board. There wasn't like really Wi-Fi per se, or if they had it, it sucked. It was like one of the true vacations that you could really disconnect and just truly relax. But I think that would be very different on the Atlantis experience, where it's kind of just a floating bathhouse.
My biggest question is, why does Atlantis continue to have these parties? Like, they can't be profitable.
Oh, I think they are.
But like, no one drinks because they're on, they're doing other things.
And you think they're not drinking too?
I don't think they're not as like, if they were to have a regular Atlantis cruise, like a non-game one, people are going to be buying those alcohol packages.
Yeah, but think about how much money they save on food cost alone. They probably only have to have enough food for one day.
Yeah, but isn't that another reason that they're not making money off of the food either? Because gays don't eat.
So, most of the food on a cruise ship is like all inclusive. So, and I would say over the last few years, that model's changed a little bit, where some of them, like these more premium ones, like the Oasis ship that this is on, have added on additional restaurants and stuff that you can pay, per meal and stuff. But that wasn't sort of the traditional cruising experience.
They're not going to be making money off of that either.
Yeah. So, but I'm saying like all the buffet food and stuff that's included, like who's eating that?
Yeah.
No, you don't have time for that.
Also, the biggest money sucker is the amount of like they're going to have to deal with the overdosing. So like the medical tents, I'm serious. Like the insurance is probably through the roof.
Well, I mean, they've been doing this for what, like a decade or a couple of decades. So clearly they're making something off of it.
God.
I just imagine that the like PA system every morning, like reminds everyone to get in line to get their Doxy and Prep and their Pure for Men fiber supplement.
I've been seeing like a lot of content, like everyone's alarm goes off at the same time to take the Prep. So in addition to the Atlantis cruise like content, I've also been getting a lot of the gay ski weeks.
Yes. Aspen.
Right? But I've seen that it's been generally a lot more positive for the gay ski week as opposed to the cruise ship, which has been dragged by Evergay. Like Evergay saying this is hell, but when I look at gay ski week, it's all positive. It's like, this is a cruise that I would want to be on. Why do you think so?
I mean, there's definitely a double standard there, and it honestly feels like it's probably some snobbish kind of thing, because it's the same kind of gays going to both, just one maybe has more means than the other.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was
because it's like
thinking.
Even though I'm sure there are diverse people at both of those, when you see all the photos, it's white muscle gays at both of them.
The gay ski week is all white muscle.
Yeah, I mean, like Aspen Ski Week gives nothing but like mean gay energy.
Yes, it's expensive to fly out there. The accommodations are way more expensive because of the limitations.
Yeah.
And
I mean, Aspen's expensive and exclusive in general.
Yeah. Plus all the equipment you have to rent.
Yeah.
Plus also to go to the parties, you have to ski there to the a pre-skiing or whatever,
to like a lodge.
To the lodge, and so you have to do that. You have to know how to do it.
Yeah.
So you have to come from a family that did that, which was extremely expensive.
Or you had the means to get like classes.
Right, get the classes, rent the equipment. Yeah. So you'd have to come.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just boils down to like classist and elitist like views of these things.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah, it's very similar sort of activities going on, I imagine, and the stories that we've heard, especially of Ski Week. So I don't think you can really look down on one and not the other.
Yeah.
On the cruise ship, what I often think about are the employees, and I would pay so much money to see a documentary from their perspective.
I wonder if they prefer, because gays are, you have like the two types of gays. The one gay is like really nice and accommodating. The other one's like very bitchy and needing. But I feel like overall, they probably would prefer to deal with a gay than a guy from the Midwest.
I don't know. I'm kind of wondering if for those for the Atlantis ships, if they replace the employees that are working on that ship sort of year round with just a all gay crew. Like similarly on a flight, we just get all your gay flight attendants.
Negligence. Can you imagine? They'd be participating in the substance abuse, the orgies. It'd be messy.
I just can't imagine putting a straight person through that. And honestly, that's coming from someone that I really like my spaces to be terrifying for straight people. Like, you should not feel comfortable announcing you're straight and the things that we like to do, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But even for me, something like this cruise ship feels super daunting.
Yeah.
The themed parties alone, like I think I saw this year, there was like a mermaid theme, which that feels really original, and an animal print one.
Gosh.
Which, like, what is the point? It's sort of like Halloween where, yeah, you're going as like a demon or an angel, but what you're actually going on is like a slut. It's like, here's a harness and a jockstrap, and all you did was change the hat or added some wings, or you're carrying a pitchfork or whatever it is. This is the same kind of thing. Like, why don't we even need a theme is what I'm getting at.
Yeah. It doesn't even keep things fun. It's not like anyone's going to be able to see the costume too, because the lights are off and everyone's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah. I will say, in defense of the Atlantis cruise, I do think that we should have more forms of queer only travel. Like, I would love a gay airlines. I think that'd be so much fun.
Messy also.
Messy, but I'm kind of here for it because it would be such a limited amount of time. I think that's what it really boils down to me with the Atlantis cruise is it's like 7 or 8 days for the big Oasis event. And just imagine any of the parties we go to, but not stopping for 7 to 8 days.
Yeah, it's the length and time. Do they even go anywhere? Like, do they?
Yeah, the one this year went to Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, I think.
Oh.
I'm not sure if anyone makes it off the ship for the excursions. I'm assuming some people do.
It's funny because although I've seen a lot of the party content, I've
never seen any of the excursion content. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure that there are people there that are less interested in the parties and they're there for like the shows, because I think they do end up bringing a lot of entertainers on board.
Might as well go to a regular cruise.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. When I see the photos, I just see a lot of the same kind of, like, I know the type that goes to these things. Not entirely, but I'm just saying there's a lot of this one particular type that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I never enjoy my time with those people.
Yeah, it takes a lot of work for me to, be happy.
Yeah.
To stay there. Yeah.
Which, again, everyone there is just
looking for
disassociating with a bunch of substances. So similarly, are they even having fun?
Yeah. They're not there. So. And they're just shells of people.
My general critique of these things is like it's the same group of people. I feel like that I see at a lot of these things. Like, we've talked about this specific people that we follow on Instagram that are on this, and they'll be at the Barcelona Circuit Fest, and they'll be at Excelsior Mykonos. And if you're gonna go to this and your goal is to like hook up with a bunch of people, which good for you, go you girl. How many times can you fuck the same people?
That's so true. I've never thought about it. It's the same people over and over and over again. If they didn't like you the first time, they're not going to like you the second time. But maybe they're all friends, like all 3,000 of them. They're like, hey.
I feel like they're not. I feel like there's a lot of drama probably.
No, not gays.
I don't know. I did see a comment on one of the videos, and it was by that couple that we were talking about that was like how to work out on the cruise ship. And I saw
oh my God, the amount of people in the gym.
Well, it reminded me of Provincetown. And I saw this comment that was like, people work out on vacation. And Alex, that made me realize we're kind of toxic, like as a species, because we go on vacations and don't even skip chest day, leg day. You got to have the pump.
What's wrong with that?
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I don't think it applies to everyone. I feel like the straights go on vacation and don't work out.
I see a lot of them go on runs. Whatever.
I don't know. Yeah, I think I would just be looking for a life raft the whole time.
Speaking of our no notes section, The key word.
Looking.
So it's been 10 years since HBO's Looking came out. So Looking is a gay, what would you call it? Dramedy, gay comedy and dramedy.
Yeah, it's supposed to be sort of a mirror of real life, I guess.
Yeah, it was created by Andrew Hay. Came out again 10 years ago this month. About three best friends living in San Francisco, all of them gay, and it really focuses on their relationship and them just kind of living in San Francisco and the struggles that they face. So it premiered, like I said, 10 years ago. Did you watch it from the beginning?
Yep. So when I watched it, 10 years ago, I was living in Atlanta. And I was in my early 20s then. So I guess that's one thing I wanted to chat about with you. I guess first, how has this show been for you as someone that you lived in the Bay Area when you first saw it?
So when I first saw it, I was actually in college in Santa Barbara.
But still, you had grown up
in the Bay Area. Yeah.
So I guess what's that been like for you, like from the time that you saw it then versus now? Because for me, it was really my first sort of peek into San Francisco. I had never visited, and couldn't really. I guess I have a different perspective now that I live here. So I'd love to hear about like how that's changed for you.
Yeah. So what I can say is that at the time when it filmed, San Francisco, I think was probably the top location for yuppies, young professionals. So even like graduating from college, I would say half of my friend group moved to San Francisco, and these people were straight. They would move to San Francisco because that's where opportunity was at. San Francisco in 2014 was the hub for all sorts of tech around the United States. Everyone would move to San Francisco. So even in the show, it's capturing like a lot more lively San Francisco. Since then, I think that San Francisco hasn't fully recovered, and it's just not as lively as it was during that time period. And I think that's the one thing when I rewatched the show for this episode, that's the thing I saw. San Francisco was more livelier at that time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess seeing it now, well, let's come back to this. I want to come back to like how it's different for us now that 10 years later.
I think it's like so nostalgic. Like when I first saw it, I was like, I didn't really know those areas that they were going to, but now like every single shot that they did in San Francisco, I knew exactly where they were at.
So one thing I've always been told about Friends, like I'm not a big fan of Friends.
I hated Friends.
But I've heard that for people that were in a similar age range as those characters and watching it, that they really related to the show. And now 10 years later, I'm in the same age range as the characters in Looking. And I didn't initially like Looking, but now I think I relate a lot more to the content of the show and also living here.
I will say, I think we have a change, or we have like a difference in opinion. When I first watched it 10 years ago, I was hooked. I would go every single week to Avery's house, actually, our friend.
Oh, nice.
And we would watch it as it was coming out every single week. I loved it. I
what did you love about it?
I connected with I didn't necessarily see myself in any one specific character, but I did see traits in each of the characters that I saw myself. Even like the female character, Doris, the way she hides all her feelings through comedy and jokes.
Yeah.
She's actually like the biggest sweetheart. I see little glimpses of myself inside each of the characters.
Who's your favorite character?
Doris, for sure.
Nice.
You?
So, I mean, I was kind of trying to find a way to dance around this, but my favorite character is one that's probably not super obvious, and that's San Francisco itself.
Yeah. So I've never seen a show like Looking where the city itself is such a big character, even more so than I think Sex and the City.
So I was reading an article about this, and I didn't realize that Looking was originally meant to be in Williamsburg.
Really?
Yes. And it blows my mind that they changed the city. And I've never seen such an accurate portrayal of a city before. Like, we see a lot of movies and TV about New York, for example, and it's always the more glamorous aspects of it. But San Francisco, and the reason I say it's a character is because I think San Francisco definitely has some very specific attributes.
Yeah.
And they capture it so well, like the grit of it.
Mm-hmm.
And even when they're at restaurants and stuff, they make no attempt to make them look more glamorous than they are. Like, a lot of them are just very like, there's a lot of the places are dated here.
And they even make fun of the like that grittiness to it. Like when during the first season, one of the characters, Dom, he's trying to open up a pop-up restaurant, and it's in the Tenderloin, and they keep on joking that, oh, this is like an up and coming neighborhood, and there's like homeless everywhere. Like it stays true to San Francisco in all aspects.
Well, even like the places they live in, because I don't think it really matters like who I know here. I mean, you guys just renovated your place, so that's a little different. But almost everyone I met here, no matter what they're like spending on their place for a month, it's all these like really dated Victorians that have creaky floors, and they capture that. So
it's actually filmed. So all of it is filmed in proper San Francisco.
Yeah, so that's the other piece is like when people come and film in various cities, they tend to hit a lot of like the tourist hot spots and just things that are more well known. Like if you just did a Google search of where to go, but you can tell they really took their time to show the parts where people actually live and visit, like the kind of bars they were going to.
Right. And the thing I will say about the bars is you'll see scenes of them walking to a bar, and they're walking in the
direction is correct. And same when they're driving as well, like coming back from Oakland, the bridges they're going on. Whereas like, I remember this is the one that comes to mind, but Princess Diaries, they're like literally driving
they would cross the bridge
city.
into Marin, but she's going to like school in San Francisco, so she's like, it makes no sense geographically. But not San Francisco, or not Looking does it so well and so accurate. Even when they talk about like Dom's boyfriend Lynn working in the flower shop on Castro, it's in the there. Castro. It's there. It's actually there.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing.
I just love the amount of attention and detail to that. And I think it is the most richly developed character in the show. And I think, honestly, you have to live here to be able to fully appreciate it. But what I see now, 10 years later, as someone like living in the city, I'm really connecting with all the spots I see in it. And I think of the times that we've had in those spots.
Yeah. The amount of location, I mean, like, it is truly, truly impressive, the amount of scenes that they are able to capture in San Francisco. Like Andy Orphan's...
Orphan Andy's.
Orphan Andy, sorry. Dolores
Zuni
Park, Zuni Cafe, these establishments.
El Rio. Yeah, it goes on and on. I will say, and you comment on this, it is a little bit of a time capsule of a different period of San Francisco, the hyper growth phase before the pandemic, obviously, when things were just, the streets were livelier, bars were livelier. So in that sense, it's like kind of sad for me because I got very limited exposure into that side of the city. But I can still see all the like, a lot of the charm of it is still here today. The DNA still exists.
And if anything, it really makes me want to get San Francisco back in that phase. Like, San Francisco is going through a period of transition. It's never going to be like it was in 2014, and I'm not looking for that. But I think we are, in the next 5 to 10 years, it's going to be change, and it's going to be positive. And I really want San Francisco to come back, at least live in terms of the population. It's going to be livelier again. It's going to take time.
What do you think of the main character, Patrick, who's played by Jonathan Groff?
I think watching it, especially, I think this is my third time watching it all the way through. Mm-hmm. You really see how flawed the character is. So so one of the things I see a lot of myself in him is that
his bottom shame.
No, not that, but fuck you. It is like how risk adverse he is. Yeah, he takes so much, like he does so many bad things that are so risky. Like hooking up with his boss while he was still dating someone else.
And openly trying to like flaunt that around the office.
Exactly. Or like making those that Halloween episode in season 2 when he's like every single time. I literally
have this written down. I don't think I've cringed harder.
But I cringe because it's so realistic. The way they draw Patrick, the way they wrote him is so realistic. I see so many gays exactly like that are just, that explode like that are just tear each other, like tear themselves apart. Like he's so well written. It's amazing and well acted. Jonathan Groff, who plays Patrick, the main character, kudos to him. There's this one scene in the season finale of the second season with Russell Tovey, his boss, Kev, or at that time partner. They're talking about monogamy, and it's a 5 to 10 minutes of without a single. It's just one shot. Like they don't cut the camera, and you see the acting. Jonathan Groff, really underrated performance. I'm surprised that he never got nominated for an Emmy.
And honestly, a pretty important conversation too.
Huge, and it's totally true that what they're talking. So for the viewers that don't know, in the season finale, the main character Patrick finds out that his boss has been on Grindr,
right,
and is having a conversation with him about whether they want to be open or not. And Kevin is saying that maybe we should be open because who cares if I get jerked off in the sauna? What does it matter if I'm in love with you? Like it
I just left my boyfriend for you,
right?
But I think for Jonathan Groff's character, it's like, okay, maybe this is someone that doesn't actually know what they want and wants a little bit of everything,
right?
And is that enough for me?
And then when he's asked why is monogamy such a big deal when his mom couldn't do it,
right?
He couldn't answer that.
Yeah, he couldn't really handle like the introspection and
why is monogamy important? It's still very much relevant, although it took place 10 years ago.
Yeah,
it's still a very relevant, no other TV show has talked about.
It definitely did a really good job portraying relationships, and like San Francisco, I think, has been a little bit on like the bleeding edge of this for a while too. But there's a lot of like polyamory that's presented. And just, it sort of broke the mold a little bit, I think, and showed a more authentic version of just the nuance of some of these relationships here.
And another thing the show did really well is that they're able to talk about so many different things. So like one character in the second season is HIV positive. One
Eddie.
Exactly. There's a relationship where it's kind of like an older, younger relationship. They focus on a lot of different aspects without it being like Degrassi. It never is corny. They're able to check off like a lot of these checklists, but because it's written so well and the acting is done so well, that it seems very organic.
Yeah.
Another thing about this, about Looking, is how diverse the cast is.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of, is there another there is Richie Mexican.
Yeah.
And I don't think I've ever seen a gay Mexican character.
Augustine is
Cuban.
Cuban. Yeah.
Sorry, even including him.
Yeah.
So both Richie and one of the characters, what's his name? I'm forgetting it. Frankie. They're both Latino gay.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think in 2014 there were other shows.
Frankie, yeah.
They were presenting any sort of gay Latinos.
Do you think that was a part of the appeal for you initially?
Oh, definitely.
I know we've talked about like the representation piece and
definitely. Not only was there a Mexican character, he was seen as sexy.
Mm-hmm.
You have characters. Oh my God, your sexy Mexican boyfriend. Like he's hot. Like that is so important, especially in 2014. There weren't that many queer Latinos, and I'm pretty sure, I think his name is Raul Castillo, who plays Richie. He must have been battling for that acting position, because there wasn't a lot of.
Actually, they were never really meant to have a significant of a relationship. Like his character was not supposed to be as prominent as it is in the show.
Oh, really?
But apparently the chemistry between the two of them on screen was so good that they decided to. Yeah.
Well, what thing I was commenting to my partner when I was rewatching it was that the first episode of Looking Richie's character seemed so different from the subsequent episodes. He seemed a lot more aggressive. Like they meet on Muni, another great San Francisco little treat. They meet on Muni, and he's like, "Hey, what's up?" And that character, that type that he plays in that first episode, isn't replicated in any other episode. So I did think that maybe something was up.
Yeah.
This is also kind of related. Ethan Kraft from Lizzie McGuire.
Yes.
In the first episode of Lizzie McGuire, Ethan Kraft was a bully. That's how they wrote him.
Oh.
He was trying to get Gordo to smile in that first episode, and they were like, "You got to smile." That character was supposed to be a bully, and Lizzie was supposed to have her own interest in some other cute boy, but because of like cost reason, they just wrote Ethan Kraft as also the attractive guy.
Nice. Convenient.
I know, convenient.
Well, I totally understand that. Like the cast was more diverse. I guess what comes to mind for me, as sort of the looking before looking, is Queer as Folk, which I know you have not seen.
I haven't seen. So how can you compare? Because that's 5 seasons.
Yeah. It's really funny because I own the box set of Queer as Folk, and despite all my best attempts, I've never completed the seasons. Even though I do actually really like the show and I really like some of the characters.
Wait, so you said you haven't completed
I haven't completed the final season.
Even to this day?
To this day, and I need to. I'll not to deviate too much into Queer as Folk, but there's just some characters that become a little bit annoying for me, and I always kind of fall off at the end. But for the most part, I really loved Queer as Folk, and there's a lot of good, rich characters in that show that I like. But I will say, Queer as Folk is pretty singularly focused on a specific, like, stereotype of white party gay.
Were they all white? All the characters?
They're all white.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, there's some other characters throughout the season, but all the main characters, it's a group of white gay friends and some white lesbians. All that to say that I think it's a show that probably a lot of people would struggle to relate to, and especially in a more modern context, like that was like one window in time of gay life. It's not necessarily as representative of today, and it wasn't that innovative for its time. The only thing that was innovative was the amount of like graphic sex that it was showing. And looking, I think, tries to avoid the sex as much and focus on other like just daily aspects of our life, which I think is why so many people connect with it and appreciate like the authenticity of it.
Yeah. I would add though that the sex scenes I thought were done well.
Yeah, I would actually argue it would have benefited, I think, from a little more of it even.
I love that you can hear the sex. Like you can't necessarily see it, but you'll go.
Something smart that they did, and again, it's what makes you find the show to feel authentic, as they talk about some of the things we're a little less comfortable discussing. The douching. Patrick's concerns about being rimmed, even though he just got out of the shower.
Yeah, the HIV scare.
And the eye.
In the eye, and also there was like
when he's at the clinic. Yeah,
yes.
When we're like, I mean, who hasn't been through that? Where even if you had nothing but safe sex in that moment when you were getting your HIV test, you're like
the scary. You're like, please God, I will never have sex again.
Behavior.
Yes, I will go to church again. Please let me not have HIV.
And then afterwards,
you're like, fuck off.
No, so it's I think so much of that is really approachable and relatable, and it's not often as talked about.
Yeah. One of the characters, Dom, he's Portuguese and from Modesto. Another great point, there's a huge Portuguese population in Modesto. That is like the amount of research it's just fantastic.
You've talked about Dom, and besides San Francisco, I would say that Dom is my favorite character. Not just because Murray, the actor, is hot.
Dude.
Him in the White Lotus too was also just...
I forgot how attractive he was because we have seen him in White Lotus, right? Obviously,
and to be fair, he has aged.
He has aged. Man, he was in his prime.
He was a daddy, like a super hot daddy.
And he has great, the sex scenes that he has are fantastic when he's like walking around in the sauna and like the perfect amount of chest hair. I like love how hairy he is.
I think I would have really loved a series of just him and Doris.
Oh yeah, fantastic. I mean, like, can we talk about Doris for a second?
Yes, of course.
I think in the first season, she's like, kind of the comedy of the show. And then the second season, they really develop her relationship with Dom.
I agree. The first season gives a little fag hag energy just because she just feels like a supplementary character.
Yeah, and she is.
But then you find out how much rich backstory that she has with Dom and
the death of her family or her dad, and they have to travel back to Modesto, and you get to hear the eulogy about him and how it incorporates her and and
then obviously they've gone from lovers and growing up to close friends, and I would say is probably the most healthy friendship in that whole series.
At the end when they don't break up, but Dom and Doris have this like breakup moment where she has to grow up. She's in a relationship with a man.
Well, they've been like leaning on each other
forever,
and it's keeping them from growing. And I really love the way they approach that conversation and just the way that they support each other through the series as both of them go through really hard times.
Right.
I don't know. I really loved them, and I could have done with just a whole show of the two of them, honestly.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Well, yeah, I had some critiques of the show.
Oh, what do you have?
Some unrealistic things. Mm-hmm. Why does everyone drink beer so much? I don't know anyone that drinks. Do you know anybody that like drinks beer like that?
I don't remember there being that much beer.
Every meal, every party they go to, every bar they're at. They're having.
Do remember. Yeah, you're right.
Very. Although to be fair, I guess 10 years ago, I feel like that was like a height of the whole craft beer brewery IPA thing, and so maybe that played a part in it. But I'm like, girl, if this was authentic, everybody would.
Yeah, I would not think that beer. A lot of they also talk a lot about drug use.
They do to some extent. Like they go to that party at the Russian River, and then like when they're celebrating maybe Augustine's wedding.
Well, also when Frankie is having like in the second season, he's exploring himself. There's this one scene where I think he's at Toad Hall. He meets someone, and the person he met takes G, and the guy asks him, "Have you been drinking alcohol?" And he says, "No."
Doesn't play well with others.
Right.
Yeah, I saw that. Also, that was Badlands, right? The bar there. I think it was Badlands.
You might have been right.
Like the first bar when they go in. By the way, that character, the one that gives him G, is in a great movie called Get and Go, and you should totally check it out if you haven't.
Is he gay in real life?
I think so.
That's another positive thing. Although not everyone that plays gay is actually gay in real life, they do.
A lot of the characters
are actually gay. And I think that's really important. I think that we should continue having gay characters being played by gay actors.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. This is not a critique of the show, but is another critique of you. But the good luck charm that Richie gives to Patrick, the Scopulario. Yeah. Where the fuck is mine?
I've never. I think I've seen them, but it's not very common.
Okay, I didn't know if it was more of a Catholic.
No, I would have given you one.
Okay,
maybe we should get a version, anklet version.
Oh, let's do anklet.
Let's do an anklet. Cute.
Okay, we need something.
Or we can share one. It's broken in half. Mm-hmm. And when we're together, it's the Virgin Mary.
That would be cute.
I do want to get into why you think the viewership was never strong.
Oh, okay.
So for as we said, this has been 10 years. It got renewed for it was 2 seasons long, and then after the second season, it was canceled because of the lack of viewership. And on Wikipedia, it says that the season finale only had about a 250,000 people tuned in to watch the season finale of the second season. So my question is, do you think a show like this can ever exist as a part of a television show on something like HBO or Peacock or anything like that?
The reason I think it probably didn't do as well is I think it maybe mirrored reality too closely, which didn't stick out to me at the time because, again, I was in my early 20s. I wasn't living here. Now that I'm here and in the same age range, I'm like, God, I feel like I'm watching like Our Lives or something.
I agree. Although I connected with it immediately, it's one of the shows where it has a very niche audience. It's gay
very
people.
niche. It's very niche. And again, if you don't have a connection to San Francisco, I feel like it would be hard for you to appreciate the show, like the amount of detail and the lives these people are living. In some way, it feels very much tied to the city itself.
Yeah, I agree. It's so sad because HBO obviously will have budgets for this stuff, but they're not gonna put in any effort because it's gonna be like Looking. It's just too niche of an audience, and other networks like Logo, they can't afford shows like this to get actors of this quality writing and film in San Francisco. It's too expensive. So it's really sad. I think this might be the one and only gay media where we have a television show. Like, I'm sure there's going to be movies because it's kind of one-time offs, right? Where the budget is going to be small. But I think for a television show, I think this is our one and only shot that we're ever going to get. I don't think there's ever going to be a Looking equivalent.
I mean, if something's done like it again, I think it would be better delivered in a movie format. Just because, again, I think it's hard to come home and put on something that, again, just feels like it's not escapism, if that makes sense.
That's correct. It's definitely realism.
But I mean, I guess for people that may not have watched it and pick it up, or that are maybe revisit it now, like, are there certain things that you think we can take away from it or that were valuable in watching it?
I think that its legacy of Looking is going to be the realist. It's a real portrayal of gay relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first scene in the first episode and the opening of the second season focuses on relationships. The episodes are three buds and they're laughing. The legacy is going to definitely be the portrayal of gay relationships. I think that's the biggest takeaway is guys come and go, but the platonic relationships that you establish.
Yeah, just their friendships.
The friendships, I think it's totally the most important part of that.
I think there were a lot of important narratives too that, like Patrick's character, as soon as he's like created this shitstorm for himself, instead of staying around to deal with it, he just has left for another city. And we've known people like this too, that it's just, instead of dealing with your problems, like
some even went to the same state.
Some did. But yeah, like it's an important thing that it's like, you can't just
run away
from your problems.
Yeah.
You have to deal with them. And I think that's there were a lot of just lessons on maturity in it that I think I take away from it. Yeah. And even the friendship piece, like seeing how Doris and Dom supported one another. I just thought all of that was
done
great.
So well. And another thing that I just remembered is how accurate it was for people that stand for nothing, kind of fall for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So Patrick, he talks a lot about like being embarrassed to show his Mexican boyfriend to his mom. And you see his interaction with his mom, and then you think she's going to be this monster. But then when she reveals that she's been on Lexapro and she's on marijuana, the main character is shocked to hear this, and she asks, well, if you would have asked, you would have known. And you kind of see that. No, Patrick's kind of the asshole.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, when I first watched it 10 years ago, I think that's one thing I really struggled with the characters because some of them are just selfish, and like Patrick in general. And I found him just kind of an asshole. But again, now that I watch it,
it's real. Like,
it's
yes,
real.
They are assholes, but it's so, I know
people like that
who are going to make the same decisions that they did. That's just the writing of the show, the acting. I mean, I really hope that we get another opportunity to see these characters again, or something like Looking. Yeah. But I really think that this is going to be probably there's never going to be a Looking.
Russell Tovey that plays Kevin and some of the other actors, they have stated that they would love to see some sort of reboot to say, okay, it's been 10 years. Where are these characters now? And I think I would love to see that.
I would be first one, even if it's just like a short film.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to tune in.
Can I tell you, I hated the end of season 2, but I loved the ending of the movie. And can I tell you why?
Why?
So do you know where the movie ends?
Yeah.
They're in Orphan Andy's in a booth. And to me, the best nights we've ever had in the city, they all end in Orphan Andy's.
Yeah.
So to close out the city in that, and it's the booth that I think when we're our big group, we always sit in.
Yeah.
It just felt like the perfect closure to something that is a bit of a love letter to the city, I think.
Yeah.
So,
Watching this has just made me love San Francisco so much more.
Yeah.
And my friends.
Yeah. And think about all the memories that we have in it. So, if you haven't been to San Francisco, or if you do live here, I think it's just so cool to see something that, really shows, I think, the beauty of the city despite its grit and flaws.
Yeah, definitely looking, if anyone's ever interested in San Francisco and how it actually operates, I think looking would be the best example that we have to point to.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else?
No, I think that's it. It's been fun chatting about this with you.
It's been fun. All right. See ya.
See ya next week. Hey, it's Colby and Alex here. Thank you for listening to No Notes.
If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts and share with your friends.
You can also follow us on Instagram at No Notes Pod, one word, where you'll find updates on new episodes and see more into our lives and the stories that we share with you on the show.
Your support means the world to us. Until next time, keep it real and keep it queer.